The rain fell like a relentless drum, soaking the cracked streets of the old neighborhood. Lily, a vibrant 18-year-old girl with chestnut hair plastered to her face, laughed, spinning wildly in puddles, ignoring the chill. She felt free for the first time in weeks, her worn shoes splashing mud with every step. Alexander, a 45-year-old millionaire in a tailored navy suit, sat in his sleek black car, rain streaking the windows. His eyes widened as he saw her, a haunting familiarity tugging at his chest. The joy in her movements mirrored a long-lost memory he never thought he'd see again. She twirled, oblivious, her gaze lifted to the gray sky. Alexander whispered, "Could it be?" He shook his head, disbelief and hope warring within him. Every splash echoed a secret his heart refused to acknowledge. The next morning, puddles remained on the uneven street, glistening under the weak sunlight. Lily wiped her wet hair back with the hem of her tattered shirt, exhausted but smiling. She gathered a small bundle of wilted flowers, preparing for another day selling them to strangers. Alexander, now distant but unable to stop watching from afar, remembered the warmth of Evelyn's smile, and the pain of leaving behind a life he could never face. Each memory pressed heavily on his chest. Lily's laughter from yesterday echoed, mixing with the morning bird's song. He felt a strange tug, a hollow in his chest he had long ignored. Could this vibrant, mud-streaked girl really be? His mind refused to form the words, yet a seed of hope grew. As Lily wandered the narrow streets, she hummed a tune her mother once sang, oblivious to the stares of passers-by. Her small hands clutched the bundle tightly, hope flickering in her chest. Alexander, leaning against a distant alley wall in casual clothes to remain unseen, felt the tension of years unwind. He saw the resilience, the spirit he had thought lost forever, mirrored in her eyes. A pang of guilt struck him like lightning. He had abandoned this life, this daughter, leaving her to face hardship alone. Yet here she was, dancing, laughing, and surviving, with a strength he had underestimated. The rain from yesterday seemed to linger in memory, a symbol of rebirth. Suddenly, a rough gust of wind carried the scent of rain-soaked earth, and Lily stumbled, dropping her flowers. She cursed softly under her breath, bending to pick them up, hands smudged with mud. Alexander stepped forward instinctively, catching a few petals before they hit the ground. Their eyes met briefly, a spark of recognition flashing through the rain-flecked sunlight. Lily recoiled, startled, retreating a step, but the warmth in his gaze held her attention. He swallowed hard, memories of Evelyn, love and loss, crashing over him in an unrelenting wave. In that fleeting moment, he realized fate had thrust them together under circumstances he could neither predict nor control. Lily froze, holding the handful of flowers he returned, her chest heaving from surprise and confusion. Alexander hesitated, unsure how to speak, fear of shattering the fragile bubble of her world gripping him. He finally said, I think I know you." She blinked, searching his face for truth, a mix of suspicion and longing in her eyes. The street was silent, except for distant, dripping water. His chest tightened. He wanted to embrace her but feared rejection. The truth hovered between them, heavy and unspoken. Yet the bond was undeniable, a thread connecting past mistakes to present miracles, promising a story neither could ignore. Alexander guided Lily down the narrow cobblestone alley, his voice hesitant. "I want to help, but I don't know how to explain this." She clutched her flowers tighter, distrust mixing with curiosity. The city around them bustled, indifferent to their fragile bubble. Memories of her mother haunted Alexander, each step echoing guilt he had carried for decades. Lily noticed the fine cut of his clothes, the scent of wealth and subtle perfume, contrasting sharply with her threadbare world. She asked softly, "Who are you really?" His chest tightened, fear of rejection choking the words. Finally he whispered, "Someone who should have been here long ago." Her eyes widened, confusion and hope clashing as the weight of his confession settled. They stopped under the awning of a small worn cafe, as a sudden drizzle returned, mirroring the earlier rain. Alexander's fingers brushed hers accidentally, sending a shiver down Lily's spine. She looked up, noticing the sadness in his eyes, the faint tremor of someone bearing untold stories. He wanted to explain, but the words tangled in his throat. "I know this is sudden, but I think you're my daughter," he said, voice barely audible over the city sounds. Lily froze, her mind spinning. Memories she barely understood flashed. A lullaby, a locked drawer, a photograph half remembered. Fear, disbelief, and longing battled in her chest as she struggled to reconcile the stranger's claim with the invisible threads of her past. Lily backed away, almost tripping over a puddle, confusion flooding her features. Alexander's heart lurched as he called softly, "Please, listen. I've spent years searching for you." She shook her head violently, tears threatening, "You don't even know me." The city continued in oblivion, pedestrians passing, umbrellas bobbing like drifting thoughts. Alexander took a cautious step closer, desperation coloring his tone. "I know more than you think," he murmured. Each word carried a lifetime of regret, of choices that had built walls between them. Lily's gaze softened for a fraction of a second, recognition flickering, but fear rooted her in place, unsure if trust was even possible after years of absence. Hours later, Alexander brought Lily to a quiet park, sunlight breaking through gray clouds. She sat on a worn wooden bench, knees drawn, eyes fixed on the wet grass. Alexander remained standing, unsure where to sit, unable to break the silence that pressed heavily between them. "I've made mistakes, terrible ones," he said softly, voice trembling, "but I can't lose you again." Lily studied his face, searching for truth, weighing years of absence against the warmth in his eyes. The breeze whispered through the leaves, carrying the scent of rain, and for the first time since meeting him, she allowed herself to wonder if this stranger could be the father she never knew. The park seemed suspended in a fragile bubble of hope and doubt. As the day faded, Lily finally whispered, "If you're really my father, why now?" Alexander knelt to meet her gaze, eyes glistening. "Because I can't undo the past, but I can try to be here now." Her hands trembled as she reached toward him, hesitant yet yearning. A moment of fragile connection bridged decades of absence, unspoken words hanging in the crisp evening air. Alexander's chest ached with relief and fear, knowing the road ahead was uncertain. The park, once gray and forlorn, now glimmered with the soft light of possibility. Together, they sat quietly, letting the first tentative steps toward trust and understanding settle like dew on the grass, fragile but real. Alexander invited Lily into his mansion, a grand structure gleaming under the afternoon sun, walls lined with paintings and memories he had long hidden. Her eyes widened, overwhelmed by wealth she had never known, yet curiosity mingled with unease. He hesitated, then revealed a small dusty box tucked in a corner. "Your mother. She left this for you," he whispered. Lily opened it, discovering old photographs, letters, and a locket with a familiar engraving. Shock rooted her in place as realization struck. Fragments of her childhood were tied to this man. Alexander's voice cracked. "I didn't know until recently. She told me about you before she disappeared." Tears blurred Lily's vision as confusion, disbelief, and a strange sense of belonging collided within her. Lily clutched the locket, voice barely audible. She meant for me to find this." Alexander nodded, kneeling beside her, voice trembling. She wanted me to guide you when the time was right." Emotions swirled as memories flashed. Lullabies, a warm smile glimpsed in old photos, and the scent of lavender that lingered from her mother. The revelation that Alexander had been searching for her all these years reshaped her understanding of past abandonment. For the first time, anger mingled with curiosity, creating a cocktail of emotions she didn't know how to process. Alexander gently urged, "We have time now, let me be part of your life." Hesitant but drawn, Lily allowed herself to imagine a connection she thought lost forever. Alexander led Lily to a hidden library, walls filled with leather-bound volumes and journals. "Your mother wrote about you here," he said, voice barely above a whisper. Lily's fingers traced the spines, breathing quickening as she discovered diary entries describing her earliest years and letters he had never seen. Each page was a bridge across time, revealing love, fear, and hope. Her mind reeled at the knowledge that someone had loved her fiercely even in absence. Alexander watched her carefully. "I kept searching for clues, for a way to find you." The weight of truth pressed on them both. Years lost could never be replaced. Yet this revelation ignited a fragile flame of reunion. The phone rang unexpectedly, piercing the fragile silence. Alexander answered, expression tightening as he listened, his jaw clenching. It's about your mother," he said, voice strained, handing the receiver to Lily. Her hands trembled as she pressed it to her ear, and a voice she barely recognized filled her mind with long-hidden truths. Her mother's disappearance had been orchestrated to protect her from a dangerous family secret. Shock and fear paralyzed her for a moment. Alexander murmured, "Everything you thought you knew was never the full story." The revelation shattered old assumptions, replacing them with urgent questions. Lily's gaze met his, searching for answers, for safety, for a truth that might finally anchor her. As the call ended, Lily's knees buckled, and Alexander caught her, steadying her trembling form. "I've hidden pieces of this truth for too long," he admitted, voice raw, "but now you know, and we face it together." The enormity of their shared past pressed on both of them, tears spilling as grief, relief, and hope collided. Lily's trembling hands touched his face, searching for certainty. "We can't change what happened, but maybe we can shape what comes next," Alexander whispered. The mansion, once intimidating, now felt like a sanctuary, a place where fractured souls could begin to mend. In the shadow of revelations, a new connection took root, fragile but undeniably real, binding them beyond absence and loss. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil within the mansion. Rain pounded against the windows as Lily and Alexander faced the first confrontation with the shadow of the past. "They want to take you away again," Alexander warned, gripping her hand. Fear surged through her chest, but a defiant fire lit in her eyes. "I'm not running," she said, voice trembling yet firm. Alexander nodded, realizing her courage had grown stronger than his protection. Together, they moved toward the front door, preparing to face forces that had haunted their family for years. The wind howled, echoing the tension in their hearts, each step forward a challenge and a promise. The intruders arrived, silhouettes looming in the torrential rain, their intentions unmistakable. Alexander blocked the doorway, voice firm. "You will not harm her." Lily stepped forward, her trembling hands forming fists, anger fueling her resolve. Memories of years of abandonment, fear, and unanswered questions surged, giving her strength. A confrontation erupted, words sharp as lightning, emotions raw as thunder. Alexander's voice roared, protective and desperate, while Lily discovered a bravery she never knew she possessed. The storm outside roared louder, as if the heavens themselves witnessed the clash of past and present. The struggle escalated inside the foyer, as shadows of the past collided with their present. Alexander grabbed the nearest intruder, twisting away a weapon, while Lily ducked behind a column, heart hammering. She felt fear and rage swirl together, forcing her to act. Spotting an object nearby, she hurled it, striking another intruder, surprising even herself. Alexander's voice cut through the chaos. "Stay close, trust me." Each movement demanded courage and precision. The storm outside pounded the roof like a drumbeat to their desperate fight. Every second stretched, testing their bond and their strength, as the past threatened to crush them entirely. In a sudden, decisive moment, Lily stepped forward, locking eyes with the lead intruder. "You won't control me anymore," she declared, voice steady despite trembling. Her courage surprised everyone, including Alexander. The intruder faltered, giving Alexander the opening to disarm him completely. The storm's fury outside mirrored the emotional catharsis within, lightning illuminating the mansion's grand hall in brief flashes. For a moment, time seemed suspended, the weight of years of fear, abandonment, and uncertainty pressing down on them both. Then, with a final surge of resolve, Lily and Alexander stood united, victorious yet exhausted, their bond unbreakable. Silence settled after the chaos, rain still falling softly outside, washing the mansion in silver light. Lily sank to the floor, exhausted yet exhilarated, Alexander kneeling beside her, steadying her with a protective arm. "We survived," he whispered, voice catching with emotion. She looked up, tears mingling with rainwater on her face, and smiled faintly. "We did. Together," she said. In the aftermath, they realized the true victory wasn't in defeating the intruders, it was in reclaiming their lives, trust, and the fragile bond that had been buried beneath years of fear and absence. The storm outside became a gentle echo of triumph, signaling a new chapter. The morning sun poured through the mansion's tall windows, dissolving the remnants of the storm. Lily, wrapped in a soft blanket, sipped tea quietly, her eyes reflecting newfound clarity. Alexander watched her from across the room, heart heavy with relief and lingering guilt. "You've grown stronger than I ever imagined," he said, voice gentle. She smiled faintly, warmth spreading through her chest. "I only survived because you believed in me," she replied. Silence settled comfortably, the weight of past fears giving way to tentative hope. For the first time in years, the mansion felt like home, not a fortress of memories. In the garden, Lily wandered through blooming flowers, feeling the sun on her face. The scent of wet earth mingled with blossoms, grounding her in the present. Alexander joined her, carrying a small potted plant. "It's time to rebuild, not just walls but life," he said, placing it beside her. She knelt, hands brushing soil, heart swelling with a sense of purpose. "We can finally choose what family means," she said softly. Alexander nodded, a tear slipping down his cheek. The past no longer a shadow but a lesson shaping their future. Every step in the garden felt like a reclaiming of freedom and trust. Over tea on the veranda, Alexander opened a letter he had found among old documents, revealing the truth about Lily's past and the sacrifices made for her safety. Her eyes widened with a mix of shock and understanding as she read the final words. "All these years, you protected me without letting me know," she whispered. Alexander's voice trembled. "I wanted to give you life, not just survival." Tears formed, but laughter mingled with them, as relief and love collided. They finally understood that family was not about perfection, it was about courage, honesty, and unwavering presence. Evening arrived, painting the sky in shades of amber and violet. Lily and Alexander sat by the fireplace, sharing memories of the storm, the fight, and moments of vulnerability. "I finally see you, not just as my father but as someone who never gave up," she said softly. Alexander nodded, feeling the weight of guilt lift, replaced by pride and affection. Together they laughed and cried, weaving a tapestry of shared resilience. The mansion, once a symbol of isolation and fear, now glowed with warmth, echoing with a bond forged in adversity. Night descended, stars glimmering above the mansion, reflecting in the rain-washed streets below. Lily stood at the balcony, wind ruffling her hair, a gentle smile playing on her lips. Alexander joined her silently, wrapping a protective arm around her shoulders. "Tomorrow we start fully alive," he said. She leaned against him, whispering, "Yes, together." In the stillness, they realized victory was not in escaping fear, but in embracing love, truth, and the courage to move forward. The mansion, rain now gone, gleamed under the stars, a beacon of hope and healing for the family they chose to become. A week later, Alexander received an unexpected visitor at the mansion, a frail man with a weathered face and sorrowful eyes. "Alexander Whitmore?" he asked, voice trembling. The man revealed a box containing old documents and photographs, linking Alexander to secrets he had never known. Lily, curious, hovered nearby. "Who is he?" she whispered. Alexander's hand tightened on the box, his heart racing with apprehension. The documents hinted at a hidden chapter of his family's past, a betrayal that had shaped their lives long before he realized. The mansion seemed suddenly colder, shadows stretching as the truth threatened to resurface. Alexander carefully opened the box, revealing letters, faded photographs, and a locket engraved with initials he did not recognize. "These belonged to my father," he muttered, reading a letter describing betrayal, lost fortunes, and an abandoned child. Lily reached out, touching his arm gently. "What does it mean for us?" she asked softly. Alexander's eyes welled with tears as realization struck. The web of secrets extended further than he imagined, entwining with his own decisions and the safety of his family. Every heartbeat carried tension, every breath heavy with the weight of revelation. Lily stared at an old photograph of a young girl. Her eyes widened in shock. "Alexander, could it be me?" Alexander froze, staring at the image, memories flooding back. The man nodded, confirming suspicions. "Your mother entrusted her safety to you unknowingly." And the room seemed to shrink as past, present, and future collided. Alexander realized that even with love and protection, truths hidden for decades still shaped lives profoundly. The bond with Lily, already strong, now bore the gravity of destiny and unspoken history. The revelation stirred emotions that had been dormant. Alexander sank into a chair, head in hands. "All this time, I thought I had protected you, but I was only beginning to understand." Lily knelt beside him, grasping his hand firmly. "Father, protection isn't about knowing everything, it's about love," she said. Tears streamed down both their faces as they confronted the intertwined legacies of betrayal, survival, and sacrifice. Outside, the night deepened, wind rustling the trees, echoing the turbulence inside. Yet, amid the storm, a fragile sense of clarity began to emerge. Dawn broke over the mansion, washing the world in soft gold. Alexander and Lily stood on the balcony, holding the locket together. "Secrets may shape us," Alexander said, "but they don't define our bond." Lily smiled, tears glinting in the morning light. "We decide our story from now on." The wind whispered through the trees, as if affirming their promise. The mansion, once a silent witness to hidden truths, now became a canvas of hope and courage. Together they faced the future, stronger and wiser, ready to write the chapters of their lives free from the shadows of the past. Weeks passed since the revelations. Alexander and Lily spent quiet mornings together, rediscovering each other beyond the shadows of the past. "I never imagined life could be this calm," Alexander said, gazing at the garden blooming below the balcony. Lily laughed softly. "Calm feels strange when it's earned through storms." The mansion, once heavy with secrets, now hummed with warmth, laughter, and cautious hope. Even the frail man visited often, sharing old stories and gentle advice, bridging the past with the present. The family was learning not just to exist but to live, embracing fragile, precious moments. Alexander guided Lily through the mansion library, showing her books and artifacts that had been locked away for decades. "Each piece tells a story of resilience," he said. Lily ran her fingers along the spines, absorbing the weight of history. "And now we add our story," she whispered. The bond between them strengthened with shared knowledge and trust. Every artifact became a reminder of survival, courage, and the importance of family. It was a quiet yet profound inheritance, less about wealth, more about wisdom and love, creating a bridge between generations. One rainy afternoon, Lily danced lightly in the courtyard, a quiet echo of her past freedom. Alexander watched from the veranda, heart swelling with emotion. "You've grown stronger than I ever imagined," he said quietly. The rain mingled with sunlight, creating small rainbows over the garden. This simple joy became a testament to resilience, the daughter who had survived storms, the father who had learned humility and love. Their laughter joined the rhythm of raindrops, a delicate symphony of healing and hope, binding past wounds into a tapestry of newfound life. Alexander hosted a small gathering, friends and allies from both past and present, filling the halls with warmth. "Life is fleeting," he said to Lily as they prepared refreshments together. "Moments like these remind us why we endure." Lily nodded, eyes sparkling. The mansion, once a symbol of isolation and secrets, now overflowed with voices, music, and laughter. Every guest carried their own stories of hardship and triumph, intertwining with Alexander and Lily's journey. The past was acknowledged, but it no longer dictated the present. Hope was alive, tangible, and shared. As night fell, Alexander and Lily stood quietly on the balcony, looking at the stars. "We've weathered storms together," Alexander said softly. Lily smiled. "And now we write the next chapter ourselves." They held hands, feeling the weight of the past, but also the promise of the future. The mansion, a witness to generations of secrets, now held laughter, love, and courage. The world beyond was uncertain, but inside, they had found a home in each other. A single firefly hovered nearby, a small glowing symbol of hope, a reminder that even the darkest nights give way to light.